All right, welcome back everybody to House Energy and Digital Infrastructure. It is Friday, February 6th, and we are going to be taking a little bit more testimony on H718, an act relating to building energy efficiency. I'm Representative Kathleen James from Manchester.
And Scott Campbell from St. Johnsbury.
Richard Bailey from Lamoille 2.
Chris Morrow, Wyndham, Windsor, Benning. Michael Southworth, Caledonia 2.
Christopher Halvin, Rutland 4.
Dara Torrey, Washington 2.
Andrew Brewer on behalf of the architects that you're about to hear from.
Great. Hey.
Carl Martin, Chamber of Commerce. Sorry.
Great, thank you.
Dean Lee Perry, the Craftsman Group.
Got everybody? Super. All right, for the record.
I'm Tom Bursey. I am an architect, and I'm the immediate past president of the American Institute of Architects Vermont chapter. Gave up my presidency in January, which is good. But I'm representing architects in Vermont. And as I begin, one of the things that I want to point out to this committee in particular is when I was asked to be part of the Building Energy Code Working Group, one of the reasons that I was excited about it was because of Representative Campbell and knowing that he would steer the ship. So all of the work that you have done over the last many years on this particular push has been noticed, and thank you for it. Excellent work. Appreciate so much. Appreciate that. Absolutely. I also want to, I was watching the testimony from DFS, from Executive Director Mike DeRocha. And one of the things that I think is important to say is that the Department of Fire Safety, I have had a lot of interaction with over the years. I've been practicing in Vermont for probably a couple of decades, quite a while. And I've had a lot of interaction with DFS. And I will say almost unequivocally that they are excellent at what they do. And what they do is administer codes. And so when I heard him say he would like more time, he would like more funding, I think what architects will say is they have a proven track record. Give them the resources and the time to do it their way, which is to say to do it right. And I believe if we transfer or any new codes that we introduce, they should be introduced under the authority of the Department of Fire Safety. I say that because they have the positive track record. I also say that because my opinion of governance has to do with authority and accountability and the mixture of those two. And in my experience, DFS does both. They take accountability and they are fair in their authority. So where it comes up, I think the DFS should be the ones to administer the code, whether it's the building energy codes, whether it's the residential building codes, whether it's the codes that they administer now, which there are probably hundreds of codes that they administer, and they do a great job at it. So those two things being said, I'm going to jump into this bill, 718. AIA Vermont also supports 717, thinks that that's a good roadmap for where we want to be in the future. This is sort of its sister bill, and it deals with some of the same things. Put my glasses on now and read if you don't mind. AIA Vermont supports the direction of H718 because it strengthens the infrastructure Vermont needs to deliver safe, more durable, and more energy efficient housing. The bill recognizes its core issue. Vermont energy standards operate as a subset of construction codes, but the state does not yet have a residential building code framework that supports consistent implementation and enforcement. Establishing a residential building code based on the International Residential Code, administered through the Division of Fire Safety, creates a clearer statewide standard of care and more coherent system for builders, designers, homeowners, insurers, and the courts. We also appreciate the creation of the Residential Contractor Registration Task Force, including representation from AIA Vermont. On real projects, the ability for consumers and project teams to identify quality contractors by specialty and competency matters, improving the registry and enabling credible voluntary certification, including energy code and high performance building basics, can help the market reward quality work. I'm gonna go off script here, and I did hear what you said, and I read the testimony of OPR. One of the things that I heard in testimony was that it may be that, well, one of the things I heard was that sometimes it's very contentious about getting a seat at the table, and that in the contractor registry, it may be that there is a need for more building voices of builders. So I'm offering if AIA is willing to give up its seat in place of a builder that could represent builders, if that's helpful to the group in the committee. The contractor registry is something that AIA Vermont has supported, but also kind of hands off. If it's not really, as Mike already said, it's not our wheelhouse necessarily. So, we do have a few implementation recommendations. First, the bill authorizes municipalities to administer and enforce the residential and commercial building energy standards, and we support providing that authority where communities choose it, but we encourage the committee to ensure strong statewide consistency through standardized guidance, training, and tools, so compliance is predictable across jurisdictions. Quote Teddy Roosevelt, who said, "When you're given a choice, the best decision is to do the right thing. The next best decision is to do the wrong thing. And the worst decision is to do nothing." I fall a little bit more on the Hippocratic oath, which is first do no harm. So somewhere in the balance there is, I think, what we want to get at. And in this case, the municipal energy codes, the building energy codes are not administered very well at present. The fact that the municipalities are willing to step up and do that administration, I think is phenomenal. But I do think there is precedent, and I think there is a direct pathway for that to happen cleanly. The precedent is the building codes are also administered by many municipalities, and that is the direct pass-throughs through DFS. So there is a statewide entity that controls what is being enforced, and that's a pass-through. And I think in this case, that's an exact model of what this should be. There should be a statewide entity. Again, I think it should be DFS that administers the energy code statewide so that there's uniform. What we don't want is South Burlington to be something different than Burlington, to be something different than Williston, to be something different than Montpelier, to be something different than all the other states that doesn't have any enforcement at all. So what we would like to see is a single entity that is responsible, has the authority, and has the accountability for it. And under that administers the municipalities who have the money and the willingness to do the work, but they should have some uniformity. And if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them as we go or at the end.
I just want to clarify your the phrase pass through. You're just saying that the municipal criteria is the same as the state criteria. Is that what you meant by that? Or
The pass-through actually is that each municipality in the case of the building codes, each municipality that wants to administer their own building codes goes to the Department of Fire Safety, gets on the list essentially of municipalities that will do that, and the Division of Fire Safety sort of gives them the authority, but it's through the Division of Fire Safety. And so the municipalities each
the municipality is issuing the permit based on the common criteria.
Where there is that agreement, and I think there are 18 communities in Vermont, so that have that.
I was aware of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a model I think that would work really well in this case, because if the municipalities are willing to do it, excellent. This is a case of it's not a yes or no on our part. It is if the municipalities are able to do it on their own and create these disparate communities of enforcement, that will be difficult to step back from when we do get a statewide.
Right.
So if we set it up right now, first time, then it will all work out smoothly as we progress further with increased state oversight. That's my take.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Tom, I was just a couple of comments on that. One is that in the case of building codes, Division of Fire Safety has formal agreements with municipalities in order to, uh, I can't think of the right term, but basically pass down the building code, authority and enforcement to the municipalities that they have these agreements with. Public Service Department currently is the office, never cognizant, over energy codes. They have no enforcement capability or even authority as far as they're concerned. And so it would be difficult to set up a parallel kind of system there. Although PFD has indicated they would at least like to know what municipalities are enforcing energy codes. I completely agree that the ultimate solution here is transferring authority over energy codes to the authority that already has jurisdiction over all the other building codes. That is Division of Fire Safety. Is the solution? Is where we should be going. Fortunately, I don't think that's where we can go this year. So that's kind of, I just wanted to sort of clarify that for the committee that this is not a possible solution at this moment, which is why I introduced the bill the way it is. And I already have a lot of changes to it. I will be getting another draft too. So, but yeah, we're threading a needle here about what's possible and what's desirable, and certainly recognize the argument that you've made and others have made that setting up a system, sort of a parallel system at public service and Office of Professional Regulation that ultimately really should be a DFS is not ideal, and there may be a certain amount of bureaucratic inertia associated with that, but that's what's in the realm of the possible right now. So that's why I proposed what I did.
Yeah, and I should also note that the Building Energy Code Working Group was a diverse group of people with a lot of diverse interests. And I'm sure you all know that there's only a couple of letters that you can take bill and consensus bill. And I think you've said you thread the needle, and I think you did exactly that. This bill is just to try to bring together all of these ideas that sometimes pull pretty hard in the direction. So yes, we certainly support this bill as it is. Okay. Hopefully that message is clear.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I think it's for you, Scott. What did the statute say, if anything, about municipalities? Because you've added this.
Question. I'm getting testimony next week
Okay.
from a lawyer, attorney with Vermont League of Cities and Towns. There is in the municipality municipal title 24, a section that appears to say municipalities have authority to regulate buildings and enforce standards. What that really means and it is not exactly clear. So that's the reason I put something in this bill about that, giving authority, municipalities explicit authority to enforce the RVs and CVs. I think that it would probably make sense to have, and that's Title 30, the public service title. But I think it would make sense to have some linkage with Title 24, which is the municipal title. So we'll be hearing, as I said, from VLCT about that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I will continue. Second, on the contractor disclosure requirement, we support transparency and we recommend clarifying the scope so that it's fair, standardized, and clearly tied to consumer understanding. I think there was testimony earlier that maybe there was a little bit of balance that was needed between sort of the homeowner who's interested in understanding who they're hiring and the contractor who may need second chance. So I think there is a balance there, and it is not our wheelhouse, but it deserves saying. We recognize that. And finally, we support the energy education modules and appreciate that the bill emphasizes buildings as integrated systems, energy, airflow, and moisture management, coordinated training across trades is one of the best ways to improve real-world performance and avoid costly failures. Thank you. AIA looks forward to being a constructive partner as you refine and implement H718. Told you. So I wish there was a clock on that ball.
Yeah, you're doing
Fine, yeah.
All right.
Budget.
Yeah.
So how come you didn't make the new president come here? And
I have been involved with this for several years, so I probably am the one to speak. Yeah, yes. I try not to make the new president do it as people were to me.
Are there any other questions? Jump in here. I just am wondering if there's any other questions. If not, I had a couple of points I wanted to go over. So if you, I think it sounded like you listened to OPR's testimony.
I read it. Actually, read the
Okay.
transcript of it.
They had some specific points that they were interested in. What I did with it right now, but a couple of things that they thought would be better handled by the task force than directed to be in their wheelhouse, I guess, immediately. One was this issue of the website and marketing or outreach. They prefer to form outreach to marketing, which make sure that's I buy that. They don't view themselves as being in the business of creating consumer-oriented sites, which is another matter that I could debate on. But certainly, they have a lot of other professions that they're regulating. 53, I think, is the number, and they're loath to have one of the professions that they regulate be handled differently from the others. So one of the things that they suggested was that towards the end, I guess that's the last section before the effective date, where that says that we devote some funding to OPR to launch the website. They suggested that actually be targeted at supporting the task force to figure out who's going to support the website, who's going to create and launch the website, and handle the outreach. And I guess I wondered if you have any opinion about that, or
my opinion maybe it's not an opinion as much as just an observation, but I had the impression that the website would be something akin to what Efficiency Vermont has, which is contractors that have a certain marketing that's on their website that says, here's a group. If you're looking for a contractor, these are the groups that we stand behind. I don't think the state is necessarily wanting to get in a stand behind situation, but it might be helpful to have a website that is informative so that the homeowner could go on and look for it. So if OPR is not willing to do that, which is have a website that is public facing and easy to use, and I think there is money involved in that, that might be the thing that the task force would probably deal with in the future. I think that the task force can solve those problems, but I don't think they're solved just yet.
I mean, I'm a little reluctant we're sort of loading all of the difficult problems onto the task force, but that might be how it had to go. So I feel like there was something else that they mentioned that I wanted to ask you about, but I'm not seeing it right. Oh. Yeah, it was the professions that they regulate. So there's this issue about the energy module, that appears in several places in statute for the different, professions and trades. And for OPR profession, which includes architects, engineers, property inspectors, a lot of people involved with building. That's an OPR's, wheelhouse, jurisdiction. And there's part of this bill that asks whoever's in charge of this energy module to do a better job with it, to make it more targeted at what those professions, actually deal with in a building. And their suggestion would give that to the task force also, because they thought actually that public service would be a better entity to handle that energy. And public service wasn't in the room. We almost gave it to them just because they weren't in the room, but
Brett was ruled by those.
that's right. Get volunteered if you don't show up. But I guess I'm inclined actually to give it to the task force at this point, and because we really want to get something through here. We've been working on this for a long time, and everybody's pretty sick of the issue, but we need to make some progress. So I guess again, ask you if you have any comment on that.
I think that's the right move. I think saying it to the task force so that it can be discussed and all of the inputs. I'm certainly in favor of building consensus.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, I guess that's all I can think of. Really appreciate your coming in.
Absolutely.
Great, all right. Thank you for being here. And we are not back to 1:45, so I think we can go offline.
Thank you. Absolutely.